Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning. What is happening? It's Wednesday. It's 9 a.m. We are live from Austin, Texas at Syndicate HQ, baby. What is up?
Come on, baby. Syndicate HQ. Let's go. That was hype. Come on. Hey, if you were here, put it in the comments. I want to hear that.
Yes.
Make sure and let StreamYard view your comments as well, y'all, at StreamYard.com/Facebook. It is also in the description of the post. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Man, we're having a great start to the week because it started with the freaking grand opening. Tony, share a little bit about it, man, because it was.
I don't know if I remember anything, to be honest with you.
Right.
Share it, man.
Just
think about. I was thinking about this last night, actually, and I posted a little bit about this in the Syndicate on I think Saturday or Sunday, one of those days. But number one, the grand opening was an absolutely smashing hit. Period. And then I was talking to Laura Cruz from Baylor Scott and White, who came out and she called me and wouldn't stop jabberjawing about the level of people that showed up at our event. She's like, I just thought you were going to have a bunch of scrub agents hanging out, trying to learn some stuff. I'm like, no. We got John Wetmore. We got Cody Askins. We got Luke Acree. We got Medicare Misty. We got Sandra Gebhardt. We had Andrew Lee all the way up in California. Stephen Guilfoyle was here. Like, there was $1 billion in premium sitting in this little office this last weekend. And the fact that all those guys came out and supported us, believe in what we're doing, and we're here to support us and just be part of it was mind blowing. I'm still kind of overwhelmed by that. So
it really was. And that was and it's funny because you don't necessarily realize it in the moment. I mean, you kind of do, but it's like, hey, look, like we have people in the office. We're trying to get stuff done, right? We're trying to keep the workshops on time. We're trying to, this, and this. And when it's all said and done, you look back and you're like, holy shit, that just happened. We just had a bunch of millionaires up in here in our lobby, right? Which is funny because that's like the most wasted space of this office because of how big our lobby is. And it's like, oh no, it actually turned into like a perfect setup for an actual workshop, right? And we had the whiteboard, and it was it was enough people, right? We had probably 20, still standing people, but it was still intimate enough to where I think everybody that was there, dude, everybody, hey man, that was probably one of the best things we ever been to. And I ranked it. I messaged it in that group chat. That ranks up there pretty close to OG power players with me, man. It was just everybody there. And just the people that were there, dude, it's just crazy to me that this group is we're like 2 years old in this thing, but our mission is so powerful that it brings those people to that room. And then the relationships that were cultivated in that room, right? Like if we ever throw another workshop or anything, another grand opening, we just keep throwing grand openings. That'd be funny. Every year, new grand opening. Those people will be here. Right. Yeah. Right.
100%. And then, I'm just going to go and say it. Joe and I have been alluding to it a little bit here and there. But, the next phase in our evolution is obviously to throw our own Syndicate event, not just the grand opening at Syndicate HQ, but an actual Syndicate event. So all I'm going to say is if the grand opening celebration was any taste of what a full-on Syndicate event's going to be like, buckle your seatbelts.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and speaking of the event, y'all, we're getting ready to bring on our special guest. I've had the privilege of actually meeting Arinn, and this is the best thing about freaking networking. And it was during my breakout session that I had at 8% Nation, and we did the speed dating for insurance agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And her and Sam Ogren would shout out. Hey, I'll give Sam a shout out because I know Aaron's not going to. Happy birthday, brother.
Happy
But
birthday,
had the pleasure
Sam Ogburn.
of Yep, had the pleasure of meeting them at the breakout session because of the style of the breakout, right? The speed dating kind of nature of it. And they're just amazing people. Erin obviously is killing the game. She's newer to the game, but acting like she's been doing it as long as we have. So without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Miss Arinn Lovett. Good morning. Good morning.
Good
morning, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are y'all?
We are fantastic. Couldn't be better after last weekend, to be honest with you. Just
Right.
full steam ahead. So tell us
Last
a little bit
weekend was a
about
blast.
yourself. Who are you?
So, as y'all know, my name's Arinn. I am a sixth generation farmer rancher from East New Mexico. So all of my family
Come
have
on.
been farming and ranching. They all still live there. I'm the only one to move out and come to the big city and try something different. I have 3 different degrees, which I've never done anything with. Because I think just like a lot of you guys who are watching her on, we grow up to believe, you go to college, you get a degree, you find a job with your degree, and that's what you do your whole life. And I just felt like there was something more, and I wanted something more. So I kept chasing after that, went through lots of different careers or jobs, so to say, and none of them made me just fully happy. So I kept chasing until I found what that was. 4 years ago, I kind of threw my dart and came to DFW, and I didn't know a single person when I moved here. And since then, I've just kept grinding and searching for that next big thing. And June of 2021, I actually, when I turned 30, something just clicked with me. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of building other people's business. I can totally do this on my own. So I Googled what's the best kind of self-employed thing with no overhead, and health insurance came up. I didn't even know the difference in a deductible and a max out of pocket. My dog is
What are your
being
What are
You're
your
good.
3
You're good.
degrees in?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
So I have agriculture science, I have career and technical education, and then cosmetology. Hold on one second.
Agricultural science,
No.
technical education, and cosmetology. That's what I heard, right? Agricultural science,
Yeah.
technical education, and cosmetology.
Yes.
Those are some
So
degrees
career
right
and
there.
technical
That's
education.
interesting. Oh, okay. Did you
Yep.
have any
And
thought when
I,
I was gonna say, when you picked those 3 degrees, did you have any were you trying to do something with all 3 of them?
No, not necessarily. So when I got my cosmetology, I graduated high school, and actually, long story short, real quick on that, I was wanting to go cheer. So I made New Mexico State University Division I cheerleading right out of high school.
Oh.
But then I got in a really bad car wreck my second week of college, and compressed 8 vertebrae, broke all my ribs, punctured both lungs. I was actually announced dead. Have 3 weeks of no memory at all. I was on oxygen. And so obviously that took me out of my cheer career. And I was like, well, that was what I was going to do for the next 4 years. I don't really know what I'm going to do next. So I went to cosmetology school. I knew that was fairly easy, and I could take that anywhere in the United States if I, absolutely had to. So that was my thought process with that, but I never actually used it.
Wow.
Wow. I did not know that. Like, goodness, you want to talk about coming from the school of hard knocks. I mean, you were born a freaking rancher, and then I didn't know that part of the story. Like, oh my goodness.
Mm-mm.
Well, shoot, that is, gosh, I'm sure there's some testimony in that, right? And just being able to come back and overcome that. Because I'm sure the PT and the recovery from that must have been freaking insane. Plus, you're probably in school trying to navigate all of that, right? Live a life. Man, that is, whew, I did not know that. That is wild. Well, so take us to, because I know, all right, so you got to Dallas, right? And so, and honestly, I love what you said, because that's how I was raised too. Hey, you go to school, you get your degree, right? And then you get a good job, and that's just what you're supposed to do. And you don't know what you don't know, right? And that's just what everybody did. So I was kind of the same way, where I actually up and moved to St. Louis, where I didn't know a freaking soul, and I didn't for years until I met my wife. But all I knew was, hey, I was working, right? I had just kind of gotten into insurance, but definitely not what I'm doing now. But it opened my eyes, right? I was an intern and then customer service, and then it started to kind of propel me into, oh, wow, like this is everything that insurance is. It's not just selling auto and home insurance, right? There's all these different verticals that people play in that really change lives though, right? And so I love that part of your story, because that's the most difficult part, I think, is, okay, once you take the jump, it's like, oh shit, I took the jump, so now I got to do it, right? But it's getting to that right at the edge where it's like, all right, I got to go all in, right? Take us to that moment. Okay, so hey, I find insurance, right? You've been in since June of 2021, and I know that you went all in, but then you also were doing the Mako and stuff on the side. Kind of take us through that moment of, okay, hey, I'm going to go all in, and what was it when you really, like, how long did it take you to find your groove? And it's like, oh, okay, this is why I made the jump.
Yeah, so that's actually a good story in itself. So I made the jump. Like I said, I turned 30 in April. So from April to June is kind of where I figured out what am I going to do. Found online, going in with health insurance. So I got my license and did everything of that in June. Okay, so then from June, well, when I heard that was the biggest thing, I was like, I do not want to cold call. I want to build this all up on referrals. And the biggest thing for me is I wanted to help people. I have that urge to want to help people, but I didn't know how to help people by myself, if that makes sense. And so once I was like, okay, I'm all in. This is what I'm going to do. Luckily, I was blessed enough to be able to not have to rely on a side job. I had enough built up in savings, because obviously, as you guys know, when anyone decides to take that jump to go self-employed or do something on their own, like, you're not getting your own paycheck. You're having to put in quite a bit of money to get going. So I was blessed with that opportunity. But so I decided I wanted everything built on referrals only, which was going to be a hard buildup. This wasn't my hometown. I wasn't from here. So the only way to do that was by networking a lot. So I was going to a minimum like 15 networkings a week. I would have some days where, I would go breakfast networking, lunch, afternoon, evening, dinner, networking, which was exhausting, but it really quickly ignited and quick started getting Lovett Insurance's name out there. So I did that pretty solid for a while. Well, I gained business really quickly. And I don't know about y'all, but I get really bored quick, hence 3 different degrees and lots of different jobs. If I catch on to it really quick, I get bored with it really quick, and then I quit because I need something that challenges me. So when I got asked to go help manage this Mako, as a new guy had bought it and taken it over, I didn't even know him. The guy who asked me, I knew from insurance. It didn't really work out for him, but that's how I originally met him. And it's so funny because I didn't even know what he was asking me to go help manage. And I was like, well, I don't know. I'll accept nothing less than X amount a year. So I send him my resume. He calls up the owner, and the owner calls me, and we chat for like an hour, and he's like, all right, well, you seem awesome, so I'm just going to hire you and give you everything you want. And in that case, I was like, well, shoot, I should have asked for more. So
right.
In my mind, I could do both. Insurance was going great. I could do this and then, just pay off some debt that I had quicker. Everything would be great. No, it did not work out like that. What happened was, over time, insurance started to decline, and I was giving all my attention to the business. And I found myself back in the circle that I was in to begin with, and, dealing with the same emotions as the reason why I decided to go out and do something on my own to begin with. So I actually went on an insurance trip last, and if I'm going to be completely honest, I'm just a very transparent person. I was going to quit. At this point, I had a lot of like my own family members and them that were like, well, with the way the economy is going, no one's going to buy insurance, yada, yada, yada. You should just find a job. And I let them get in my head, and I started doubting myself. And that's what I was going to quit. I was going to take that trip because it was, I got it, and then I was going to quit. And then going on that trip is really what opened my eyes, because I was on that bunch of, millionaires and people who've been in the industry for so much longer, and they're just doing an awesome job. And I was like, you know what? This is where I'm supposed to be, and I need to quit doubting that. So I got back, I quit Mako, and I came back in full force, only insurance, June of this year. So ideally, I just did 2 months last year, and June to now this year is how long my business has really been going.
Gosh, and you've already got over. What's your premiums again?
Oh,
How much you got on the books?
So with all the carriers, I was at $1 million, and about $1,100,000 is about what it was, right under that.
Nice.
Well done.
Not bad, right?
Thank you.
Not bad.
Well done.
Not too shabby.
Something I've noticed when you got onto my radar was you seem to be very quick to understand some of the branding aspects of really branding yourself, not the carriers that you work for. So as I see you on LinkedIn most often, and I see you out there, you have your own face on your ads, right? You have Lovett Insurance, your own brand name on all your stuff. Where did you learn that from? Where'd you pick that up from? Because some people don't quite get that. And I'm not saying everybody has to put their own face and their own brand, but usually if you're going to be an independent agent, it's smarter to brand yourself, not the companies you work for.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of curious, where did you pick those ideas up from?
Oh, great question. I think just watching other people, when I decided this was the industry I want to go to, I wanted to brand Lovett Insurance, brand for me. I wanted people to buy, not specifically for a carrier, but because they trusted me and they know like, hey, Arinn's going to have my back when I call her for questions or claims or whatever happens. And she's going to be here with me and be my health advocate, for as long as I keep her. So I don't really know. I did start watching a lot of people with marketing, just started doing, how do I market? How do I do this? And really that's I've just learned from that. I've watched a lot of Luke Acree stuff. Coach Burt, I've read a lot of, in my life. I think it's just, I dug myself into self-learning and watching what people ahead of me are doing. Because ideally, the way I view it is you want to be around people who are doing better than you and doing what you're achieving to do. And so I didn't even think I'd be good at it. I do all my own social media. And there's a lot of times that I'm like, this is silly, or no one's going to like this. And then it just blows up and everybody loves it. So I'm just like, meh. What's the worst that's going to happen? Nothing.
Hey, even negative attention is intention and engagement.
Still attention. Yeah. You're still in their head.
Absolutely. Coach Burt always talks about person of interest, right? That's his whole thing. So that's something I've noticed. And just to kind of go back to what I was saying with your branding, you seem to kind of already have that grasped pretty well, where you're putting yourself out there. And again, your own face, and you're networking with all of these groups. So that's kind of how it's going there. Are you still mostly or all referrals, or do you have some other marketing that you're doing?
So yes, I am 100% referral based. I've also worked really hard to get in with some big PNC agencies here in DFW. I'm with some Edward Jones people here. I actually am with a few businesses in Amarillo, Texas. So I'm just trying to have a company in Florida, a life insurance agent in Florida. So I'm just trying to make connections, and big ones. And then we just are referral partners. When I first started insurance, I wanted to do all of it, right? I wanted to do PNC. I wanted to do life. I wanted to have it all. And then I quickly realized, no, I just need to be an expert in my field. I may not always like health insurance or agree with any of the companies, but I'm good at it. And so I just need to stay in my lane and bring in other professionals who are great at their lane. And then we just build, a force together.
I'm glad we went this route, because you're talking about and going to your branding, right? But obviously I think there's one thing to brand yourself online, right? But then there's another thing to take that brand, right, and go face to face and see people, right, and bring that to people. And so you're talking about, hey, I was doing 15 networking events a freaking week, right? Sometimes 4, maybe 5 a day, right? Like you're hitting networking all day. Walk us through, okay, but then you're like, hey, and business picked up quick, right? Like it just started coming in. And then, so you're talking about this PNC agent, you're talking about this. What are some things that you have, we'll call it strategically done, or just things that you have done in that networking environment that has allowed that business to flow in? Like, what are some tips or tricks for people? Hey, I've got a networking event I'm going to this week and I'm trying to drum up some health business. What did you do to do that? If that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. So I think the biggest takeaway, if you're going to go try to conquer networking, or you are networking, is you always consistency is key. When I first started, and even now, like I can walk into a networking and there's so many people who start out new and whatever their field they're in. and they walk in just trying to sell everybody. They walk in just trying to collect business cards, and they're not actually trying to gain relationships or get to know who that person is. They just want to know, will we work for each other, or are you going to bring me business? And if you're not going to bring me business, then I'm not going to waste my time talking to you. You got to change your perspective on that. Honestly, when I go into networking, I don't even ask people what they do, because that's not what the most important thing to me. And if someone's instantly coming to me asking me what I do, then that's kind of like a flag to me too, because first of all, you should know my name and you should want to know who I am, and vice versa. If we don't connect already, just getting to know each other, we're never going to do business together. And I'm never going to be able to assume you're going to want to buy or trust something that's so important in my hands if we don't connect just, on a normal one-to-one.
You don't even ask my name first. Right.
And then I think the second thing is you can't take first impressions away. So you always have to be on speak for I have a lot of respect for, a lot of people in the insurance industry who dial. I don't know how to dial. I've never been told, to F off on the phone, and I probably need to be a few times, especially if I'm going to try to bring in agents under me. But I think when, you're on the phone, if you're having a crappy day, you can kind of mask that, change it in your voice, whatever, or, be in your pajamas if you want. But if you're going to be in front of people, you've always got to be on point. No matter if you're not feeling it, no matter, you always have to, because impressions are a big deal, at least to me, and you can't take away first impressions.
Yep.
First impressions are definitely everything. Yeah, I used to harp on that with agents and my sales team when we did door to door and business to business. I was like, man, you have to look good, act good, feel good. And if you're not feeling it, you better fake it till you make it today until you get it going. Right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Got to have that. You have to have that. You have to exude that confidence when you're constantly putting yourself in front of people where they can look at you, judge what you're wearing, how unkempt you are, you smile, do you make eye contact, like all those little details. So you have to be on point, and it's not easy to do for a lot of people. Where'd you get this work ethic from to just jump out and start doing 15 networking events?
I think it's just how I was raised, honestly. I was 6 when I was baling hay on my own, driving a tractor, and that's what you do. Small towns, it's almost like people like to joke, people have kids just so they have free hired hands. And so I've worked ever since I was a baby, even if it wasn't at a job. And I don't know, I've just always had something in me that's wanted to be more. And even as a kid, I wanted to be an adult so fast. Like, that was one thing my parents hated. Like, when I was 15, I went and found the one place in town that would hire a 15-year-old. I've just always wanted to be more and do more and help and influence. And I think it was just instilled in me when I was very young, being on a small town and farm and ranch family.
Good. It's good. I want to go back real quick to the relationship piece, right? Because you're saying in a lot of people, and I think this has actually kind of changed, because I remember I used to do a lot of networking events, and I still do, but the style of networking has drastically changed, in my opinion, over the years. Like, when you used to go to BNI, it was, hey, you gotta or you go to chamber event, you got your booth, right? And it is, hey, go get as many business. And that was literally what I used to be like when I would go out to network. Like, dude, you better bring home at least 8 business cards, my man. Like, because if I'm going to let you miss work, right? This was when I was still working with Allstate. If I'm going to let you miss work, right? And you believe in this, you better be bringing me back business cards, right? And really it was I would just I would get as many business cards as fast as I could. And then I would bounce because I had a couple hours off work. So, but I think it is true though, because it has changed now. I mean, even you think about what we had here at the office. I mean, I don't think a single business card was handed out, right? There wasn't a single pitch. There wasn't anything. Everything was relationship based. But what was crazy is at the end of those workshops on Saturday, and we were all over at the back room and hanging out. And it's even some people had to leave, right, or fly out. But when you look at the environment in that room, it's this right here is networking, right? This right here is that relationship is not going away, where I think a business card can get tossed as soon as they leave the event, right? Or they're just collecting it to show their boss they did something that day. And I think, another point to that, we're talking about, and you were talking about people that dial, right? We're talking about like in-person networking, this 100% translates to Zoom calls, right? And this translates to over the phone. This translates, I mean, people smile and dial is not fake. Like they can hear you and they can feel you. Like what Tony said, you got to look good, feel good, right? They will feel that through the phone. Or if you're on a Zoom, Coach Burt, I mean, and I called it savage, but it's true. He put a post out there yesterday. It was like, yeah, I was on a Zoom call with this team and none of them had any energy. They wouldn't sit up in their chairs. So he just ended the call. I mean, just straight up just ended the call because, hey, if you're not going to be serious, why am I going to spend my time with it, right? And I just think that's something to say that, hey, we are talking about in-person networking. And that typically is when you get in the room and then you vibe with somebody, it's very easy to do that. But it's something that you need to be, especially in the world that we're living in, because of it being a virtual world, because of shows like this, because of all the Zoom interviews that you can do, because of remote agencies, all that, you have to be able to translate these skills to that Zoom, right? To that digital interface. And I just want to make a couple points on that because I think that's super powerful that a lot of people miss. They think once they pick up the phone, they can just be whatever, do whatever, right? But it actually does translate. So good points.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned so far?
Just to be real, honestly, for me, it's just to be authentic. People can pick up on that. People can read that. So, and if you go watch any of my TikToks or reels I post, like, and actually I got this, who did I get? Oh, from Gary Vee. Gary Vee, I was watching his stuff and he had said, put out more just life versus education and content pieces you're trying to do for promoting your business. And I thought, I don't know, because that's a shift too in the way marketing and business is running, because that used to not be how it is or how it was. And so I've tried just documenting more and just putting more of just day-to-day things. And a lot of my clients are like, you should document more of when you're out on the farm. Like people love to relate to that. So that I'm trying to, do more cow videos, things that make people laugh. But I think
it does work.
My biggest takeaway and lesson so far is just being you. You got to be on point all the time, even if you don't feel like it. And being independent, it's really easy to just, I don't really feel like it today. I'm not going to. But, Ed Milet sends like little texts here and there. And he sent one that just stuck with me and it sticks to me to this day. And he worded it as in you were dialing, but I turned around towards your networking. But he had said, your best life might be only one more call away. But unless you answer the damn call, you're never going to find out the abundance that was meant for you. So it's like, I never know, just one person. Like, I had a referral from a big PNC company I'm with. He contacted me. I got him a plan really quickly for him and his wife. And he was like, I was a trucker. He got injured trucking. I'm going to give your name to all the truckers because your stuff, you go above and beyond. If I would have been like, I don't feel like taking this call today, or I'm not going to call him back yet, I could have missed out on that. And who knows what that could open, So you're just one person away, one call away, one day away from just me person or doing the right deal. It could just open up everything for you. You never know.
Yeah. That similar story happened to me when I was newer in the business. This was like 2007, I think. My dad worked for oil and gas engineering in Houston, and one of the guys in his group was retiring, and they said, "Hey, go meet with this guy." And so I went and met with him, and I was thinking, "Cool, I'm going to sell an easy Medicare supplement. Going to be great, make some money, maybe even get some life insurance out of him or something." And this guy is a top end engineer, makes a lot of money. And he's very healthy. And he's like, I don't really understand why I need anything else. He's like, Medicare looks like a good plan. It's an 80-20 plan. He's like, 20% of the bill's not going to bug me. And I was like, well, do you want to spend that type of money? And we ended up just selling him a high deductible plan F back then, which is a garbage commission because the premium is only like $40 on it at most. And so I wasn't super excited about it. I'm like, whatever, at least I got something out of the guy. And I kind of blew it off. And then next thing I know, I get more phone calls from other people that this guy had referred me to, all in that whole oil and gas group. And I ended up selling a whole bundle of high deductible plan Fs, thankfully. And even again, individually, they're not much commission. when you start stacking up a bunch of them over and over and over, this guy basically directed me into a little honey hole. And that those referrals led to another one. This led to another one, led to another one. And that's how I built the majority of my Medicare supplement book when I was out in the field. Justin Brock talks about something very similar, and the way he describes it is little things lead to big things, right? The littlest sale, the littlest item, the littlest opportunity. If you take care of it properly, you never know what door it might open, and it could lead to something much larger.
Right. I'll keep piggybacking on that, because that's freaking baller. And I think so. Arinn, you're talking about consistency is key, right? And you are 100% correct. When you're running your own business, hey, you know what? It's Wednesday. I was out a little bit late last night, or hey, I want to sleep in, or I mean, you can take a day off, right? I mean, but really it's more of a detriment to yourself. And so I think when it comes to that consistency piece, I was just, we were training one of our new agents yesterday. His name's Alex. Alex, if you're watching this, shout out, dude. You're freaking awesome. Young dude who's just starting out as an independent PNC guy, and just picking up on it super quick. But we were talking about just things when I'm looking for, when I'm trying to have activity in my office every single day, right? It was, and I've shared some of this before, but I know we have a lot of new members in here, is the 1, 2, 3. How you stay consistent is you got to have some type of structure throughout that day, regardless of what it is, right? This for us was telesales. So this was the structure that I needed in telesales to stay consistent, but it ties into the one more call. Whereas, hey, you had to have 100 dials, right? 2 hours talk time, or 3 policies sold. 2 out of the 3 had to be done. So we were talking about it, and he goes, you know, what if I get to, and that the 2 hours was the structure that, well, hey, if I call 100 people and nobody picks up, I didn't just get 2 hours talk time, right? So you have to keep dialing to get to the 2 hours, or hey, guess what? If you keep dialing, you might just get to the 3 policies sold. So then you don't have to hit your 2 hours talk time, but the 2 hours talk time is what pushed you to make more dials. And it turns out, oh shoot, like I'm at 150, 200 dials. And then now that becomes the norm, because they're like, wow, look at what I just had. Look at the activity. And then it's not the 1, 2, 3. The 1, 2, 3 is like the baseline, but then now they come in, they're like, I want to do 150 dials. I want to do this, right? I want to hit this talk time. And I think that's so good. And so, well, let's talk a little bit about that. You know, hey, consistency is key, Arinn. What are some things that you're maybe doing in your routine? Is it a calendar? What is it that really helps you stay on point and consistent when it comes to running your business?
Yeah. So I'm still not even close to how I should be with my marketing. Not even close, but that's one thing I'm trying to implement more, like make new, footage every day, post something new every day, or at least once a day. For me, I'm always trying to get out in the community too. So I like to play golf. I played golf in high school. So I sponsor a lot of golf tournaments, whether I actually have a booth on a hole or I made a whole bunch of goodie bags. I have a lot of golf tees that say Lovett Insurance or golf balls, and I'm just handing them out to people, like in as many events as I can to make my name seen everywhere. So, and I'm getting to the point where now I'm getting at least a referral or 2 a day. So getting on that call media, like, I'm not going to lie. There's sometimes like I'll be sent, like Monday, I was sent 4 referrals. I'm like, one of them was later in the afternoon. I was actually about to just end my day. So like, I'll just call them tomorrow. No, you need to push yourself to just call them right then. Like, do it right then, because you don't know who's dealing with. You don't know how they need something, or maybe just them talking to you on the phone is what makes their day. You just never know what kind of inspiration you can be. So, always trying to get myself involved in something. I like to always take care of my clients too. So I think it's more important not only to let them get to know you before they buy business from you, but to take care of them even when they're on the books, even if it's a year or 2 later. So different ways I do that. I send birthday cards out to everybody and their kids. I'll send random little Starbucks cards, just like, have a great day. I appreciate you. I have a Tips Treats account. Send them random cookies, or some of my businesses, I'll just show up with lunch. Like, find things to do to nurture your relationships, or even if they're not your clients, still do things to nurture them, because if they know you want to be a part or you're helping them, then they're going to be more apt to want to help you too. So that's how you build that relationship. So for me, it's really just, what can I add to what I'm already doing? What can I critique to make better? And what are more events I can be a part of?
Beautiful. I feel like all of that is so much more important now than it ever has been because we're so much more disconnected as humans because of social media, because of the internet, because of technology and telephones and everything that we have going on now. We don't get that human interaction, so we lose that closeness in relationships to have the opportunity to show that we care, right? Because everything is sterilized through digital technology in some form. So I feel like it's that much more important now to take the time to do things like send out a TIFF treats, right? Send them something that's physical and organic that they go, wow, this person actually cares. This person actually is appreciative of the business that I've given them. This is nice. My last insurance agent, they give me crap. They barely sent me. They sent me a birthday card, but you could tell it was just a robot card that they had hired a third party to do, and wasn't even a fake real signature, you know. So it's nice that there are agents out there that understand that is a necessary thing to keep your people on the books, because as we all know, you don't get rich selling insurance, you get rich maintaining a book of insurance, right? That's how you build a real income that you can provide for yourself, for your family, and maybe even build a legacy. So those items are what's going to help keep those people on the books for you, obviously.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I think let's kind of shift to, I want to take the last bit of the call to talk. So here we're talking about basically networking and bringing it in, right? Relationship values. You need to be driven that you need to be consistent, right? You need to be on point. But then when you are on point and you get all the business, let's kind of go to the sales process, right? Because I think a lot of people will go out and they'll network their asses off, and then they don't ever actually do anything with it, right? Now I know there's a difference from an agent based, right? So where you're cultivating that relation, you're trying to or nurture that relationship versus on the client side, it's like, yo, I got leads coming in, I'm trying to work them. Arinn, if you could, and you can go as specific to health insurance as you want, because we have a lot of health agents in here that I think that would actually be beneficial to them as well. When you have something coming in outside of just picking up the phone, what does that process look like to where, hey, I've been in for, we'll say, from June to, so maybe we'll say like a full 12 months that you've probably been producing because of the Mako stuff and everything, getting licensed and things like that you have over $1 million on the book. You have to have a badass sales process that you're using when these things are coming in. Can you walk us through some of that and what that looks like? And again, be as health specific as possible. Like, even if you want to go through like, here is my script or whatever, or, hey, is it your beliefs in that? And that's what you kind of bring into your pitch is, hey, I really believe in these products. This is why you need them. What is that?
Yeah. So when I first, let's go back to when I first started, everybody has like mentors or colleagues, and they kind of try to help you out. This is what you need to do. These are the scripts you need to learn. You need to be able to recite this to everybody without even looking at the paper, whatever. You're going to think I'm crazy. Personally, I don't know a script. I've never followed a script. I don't say the same thing to, a referral call that calls me at 8 that I do at 9. I let them run it. And I think that's been a big part of my success. I can't speak that for everybody, is the fact that I'm not trying to pitch them anything. Me personally, I try to put myself in their shoes. And I know when there's someone refers and I call them saying, trying to pitch me something, I'm like, don't pitch at me, bro. Like, I'm already out personally. That's just me. So I try to do what I know I will like or what I will not like. So for example, when someone calls or I get a text, most of the time people text me. I set up Calendly and all that stuff a long time ago, but it doesn't really ever get used. So most of my communication is through text. But once I hop on the phone, I always start with like, how are you? How do you know so-and-so? Like, you're talking about how awesome that person is, because that's our connection. And then I'll quickly just tell them, like, I'm not going to pull you to one specific carrier. Like, I am contract with all your major deductible based plans. Therefore, I'm going to pick the plan that fits you and is best for you, whether that be, your deductibles, your premium, what you need covered, not one size fits all. Ultimately, I let them talk. And I think that's the biggest key is learn to shut up and just listen. And they'll tell their story. They're going to give you their problems.
They'll sell themselves.
Exactly. And at that point, you then need to be the expert that you are and know the differences between Blue Cross or United Health or Aetna or Cigna or whatever state they're in. And you need to know, like, hey, I think this is going to be what's great for you for this. And, If you listen, they'll tell you all their problems. Your job is to now come in and solve their problems. If you can't solve their problems and you're trying to pull them to whatever's going to give you the best commission, good luck, you know?
It's good.
Listening is one of the unspoken skills in sales that I don't think gets talked about enough, right?
Yeah.
Usually the only time you hear someone that's a sales trainer talk about listening is usually when they say, hey, when you ask that final closing question, remember to shut up, because if the next person that says anything wins. But ultimately it's listening up front, listening and paying attention and being observant of how they're reacting to when you first meet them, the kind of things they're telling you, what you might see around the house is another skill in listening. But ultimately, yeah, if you listen to all their little details about their ailments, their fears, right, their concerns about their health insurance and their needs ultimately and their wants, then yeah, if you know your product line, you know your business and your industry and your territory well, it shouldn't be that hard to match up the puzzle pieces. I'm not a big fan of scripts either, and that's probably also because you and I were similar when we were in the field, where I did everything face to face. I did everything through network and referrals for the most part. I certainly bought some leads here and there, but I would use those to get me more referrals. The only script I ever had was that if I was ever cold calling a lead, right, or a direct response piece that I got, then I had maybe 5 sentences at most that were my script, and the rest of it was just bantering back and forth, conversation, and listening.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're in a call center, I don't think you need a script.
Yeah, exactly. And most of my calls, we talk about life or God or, you know, whatever, more than we even talk about health insurance.
Yeah.
And that's what builds that connection. And if you can't talk to people and you don't actually really give a damn, people catch on to that. People will know. Then, you know, like I said, good luck. You know, I think you're going to have a harder time doing what you're doing. But I think that's worked for me. I'm not saying that's going to work for everybody.
Sure.
But I mean, just like what you said, Tony, I think that's a big difference between versus being dialing. You have a short amount of time to quickly get what you want to say and find something that's going to be the hook that's going to lure them in or make them want to stay on the phone, not hang up on you. Yeah. It's a little bit different whenever you base everything referral, because they're calling you. It's already a warm lead, even if you don't know who they are. And so that's why I wanted to set it up that way, because it just works for me better. Now, it's harder to do. A lot of people don't want to be out all the time. I praise the people who dial. I mean, I wish I could do it. I probably could. I don't want to do it, if we're going to be real.
Who is your ideal client? So if anybody listening out there wants to refer someone to Arinn in the DFW area for health insurance, do you have like a very specific avatar that you go after?
Well, and it doesn't just have to be in DFW. I'm in almost 40 states now. So I have clients in a lot of different states. And there are certain states that, as other health people on here know, or maybe even, I don't know about PNC and Life, but you have to be, their restrictions are you need to be a resident. So in some of the states that I can't personally get into, I've worked hard to find a trusting referral partner who already is. So then I just send them straight to them. So yes, I can still help you in every state, but it may not be me who's writing your policy, but I will still treat you as my client. And if you have a question or a call, you can still call me. So my ideal client, I love when people ask me that. I don't really have an ideal client. Ultimately, I want to talk to someone who maybe doesn't understand the health world, and I can educate them on what their plan is or isn't. They're never going to know their plan. Therefore, they're never going to just keep renewing or keep trusting you to be the one they can keep renewing with year after year. I'm trying to get more into businesses as of right now. Honestly, the group coverage thing has kind of become not what it used to be. A lot of companies I work with now have called me, and it's just a check mark. You know, they're trying to mark a box and provide employees with coverage, but it may not even be true coverage. It just be like a supplement. And actually, here, this is real. I had a company that I'm now taking over all their employees because they're denying the coverage their office offers. They have a business here in DFW and also in Florida, so they're offering them a Blue Cross Blue Shield of California. But if you really look at the fine print and you start to look up doctors and hospitals, they don't accept it.
Right.
They don't accept it here in Texas. So their portion of the premiums was still so high. I mean, it wasn't really going to cover anything at all. So That's my example. Like, that's why I'm trying to get into businesses, and I'm trying to change up the way employers think of it and offer, try to really encourage them, offer them a fixed indemnity or not a fixed indemnity. I'm sorry. Offer them a subsidy for their paycheck. If you're wanting to provide, and then let them choose, because not one size fits all. So at that point, I'll come in, I work with every employee individually. We'll find the coverage they want. Some just want dental and vision. Cool. I'll write you dental and vision. Some want full-blown coverage for their whole family of 5. Okay, well, then I'll do that too. But I don't feel like what one person needs versus the other, like this and what this person needs or need, just because that's the way it is. And that's how a lot of group coverage is. It's you pick from 1 to 3 or 4 plans, and it is what it is.
Right.
So I guess that for this year would be my ideal client. Is I'm really trying to disturb and break up, the whole group coverage, employer coverage mentality.
Make sure you chat some more with Stephen Guilfoyle, probably.
Right.
I actually have, and we should be meeting up soon.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure they live like freaking 15 minutes from each other. We found out, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, let's take just a couple minutes. Let's take a couple minutes before we wrap up, Arinn. Just this is typically Tony's question, but I'm taking it from him. What's on the horizon for Lovett Insurance? Like you were talking earlier about potentially recruiting, bringing agents. Are you looking to bring on any agents this year? Kind of what's next?
Yeah, so I think that is going to be something I'm going to try to dive into this year, is bringing on some agents. I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little nervous about that, because like things are kind of cush, just me right now. I'm only responsible for me. It's going to completely change the game. But ideally, I want to help other people come in who were in the same position I was in. Like they hated their job. It was the same repeating circle of not being happy. I want to help introduce, a whole new world to them. And if I can help just one person do that, then that's a win for me. So I think I'm going to try to bring in agents. I just expanded my LLC to be nationwide, so that's going to really help me too. So yeah. Good.
Love it.
But I need
Love it.
to be more on the dialing side, because I'm going to have to train agents to dial.
Hey, I can help with that. We pound the freaking phone. So hey, you bring your agents to the bullpen. Yeah. We'll put them through the ringer. It's good. Well, thank you so much, Arinn, for hopping on. Hey, I was like, I love it. I was like, shit, that worked really well with her last name. But seriously, thank you so much. I really appreciate our relationship and getting to meet you and Sam, and being able to do some things together, and appreciate y'all taking the time to come to Austin for the grand opening and the HQ, the workshops, all that good stuff. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yes, I really appreciate you guys having me on, and the connections I've made with y'all, and just are going to continue to make. Like, I'm excited about the future.
Awesome. Yep. Well, now that I know that you like golf, we just scheduled the date for the National Association of Health Underwriters. Well, now it's NABIP, National Association of Benefits and Insurance Professionals. I run their golf tournament here in Austin. So September 25th, you're on my radar. I'll invite you to come down and have some fun with us.
Yeah, and Sam and I actually live on a golf course here in DFW. So if y'all ever come this way, we'll have to go to some different country clubs as well and use this one. So.
Right. I like golf. I'm terrible at it, though. I spend most of my time in the lumber yard. So, awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on, man. This has been a fun show. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, as you know, we are here every Wednesday at 9 a.m. So we're always bringing on wonderful guests like Arinn. And I know we've got somebody lined up big for next week, I believe. I think John Joe's holding it back, so never mind. We'll get that to you next time.
Holding it back.
Holding it back.
We're getting there. But hey, y'all, it's the peak of the week, right? It's Wednesday. Let's be consistent, right? Let's put the relationships first. And hey, when the referrals come in, right after you put in all that hard work, pick up the damn phone, right? I appreciate y'all. I hope everybody has an amazing rest of the week. We'll see y'all tomorrow for Tactical Thursdays, and Winning on Wednesday is next week. We'll catch y'all later.
Sir.